Hey everyone, I'm Sarian. Welcome to the third part of my TimeSplitters 2 modding guide. Last time we covered different weapon changes, more complex ones. This time we're shifting gears a bit, we're going to be covering character mods. So, we're going to be using the same guide as before, the TimeSplitters 2 GC ISO stuff document, but we're going to be moving to the character section. You can find it further down the list with the left and right buttons. Now this covers a lot of stuff that you can do with characters. There are limits to what all you can do because any character that appears in story mode, it'll crash if you replace it with another character that isn't already loaded in the level. But when it comes to stuff like changing the stats of a character, normally there aren't any issues with it, or like the name or anything. So we're going to start off with a simple example, then move on to something more complex. We're going to take Dr. Peabody and we're going to make him a stronger character. So let's scroll down. His name will be listed here, along with some unused characters. Some of them are unused. Some appear in story mode but can't be selected, like the barrel robot, which is too glitchy to work in multiplayer. The story version of Sentry Bot, which has a unique death animation and is bigger. The Portal Demon, which is huge and doesn't really work well in arcade mode. The X-Ray Skull, which is a cut character. All of the pedestrians from Neo Tokyo, so on and so forth. There's listings for everything, even like some of the robots from Robot Factory that normally wouldn't work. Okay, so at entry 119 here is Dr. Peabody. This will list like the ISO value is what we're going to edit here. So what we're going to do is we're going to change his stats, make him really strong. We have here the stamina and agility graphic ID. That doesn't change the way that the health and everything works, but these values do. Story AI levels and accuracy levels, which Story AI affects it in the different difficulties, accuracy level affects it in arcade. Now, 1 is the highest it can go. That means you'll have a really strong, really accurate bot. F is the lowest, which means it'll be a very weak bot that can go down very quickly. And the stamina and agility graphic ID just affects how the stats will show up in the menu. So we're going to take Dr. Peabody's ISO, plug it in here, and then we're going to get to the stamina and agility graphic ID to start off with, because the next 4 values are all connected. So this is the value we're going to need. We're going to paste this into HXD, and then we're going to edit it. Now that we got HXD up, we're going to go into that offset search again, the go-to option. And we're going to go down. Here we have Dr. Peabody's, what his graphic ID is for stamina and health, and then we have his general stats. We're going to make him really strong. We're going to give him R109's stats for that. So, copying these from the document. These entries are what we're going to change. So in this case, we're making it all 1s and a 2. This will change his stamina graphic ID, how he acts in single player, multiplayer, so that he's very, very powerful, but also very slow, but still really accurate. So we're going to save that. And we're also going to do another fun tweak. We're going to make him have a deeper voice. We're going to look for henchmen, since his voice is still loaded in the same area as, like in the same level as Dr. Peabody. We're going to give him henchman's voice because that's really deep. Alright, so the voice value is one of the first things you can change. It's right near textures 1 and textures 2. We'll go over that in a sec, but to summarize, those aren't textures. Those are the model values. Basically, Textures 1 is usually the high detailed version that you'll see when you're up close to a person. When you're really far away, Textures 2 will show up. It's the it's got lower polygons, less detailed. It's meant to save space so that, like, when you're really far from an enemy, it'll save on memory. Some characters have that, others don't. Getting back to Dr. Peabody, he's got this voice value. Henchman has this voice value. So we're just going to go in HXD and we're going to give him this. We're going to be using the X value 348C34, which is the result of adding Dr. Peabody's ISO value with 4. Alright. We're going to insert Henchman's voice value into this, which is 00348C34. And Henchman's voice value is 80330BF8. So we're going to save that. Now Dr. Peabody is going to sound like, he's going to have a deeper voice. He's going to sound huskier. We're not done with updating his image yet. We're going to look his name up in the game's files, just with the Control F search, looking in all directions. We're going to change that too. We're going to totally revamp Dr. Peabody's image. So again, there's a duplicate of the names in TimeSplitters too. There are also different languages included in the ISO. It can be sometimes a little tricky figuring out which is which, but it seems like the values around the 115729 area are correct. Going up and down along here, it's probably not quite that simple. It goes all the way up to, here we go, at 11572280. That's where the names start. This also includes some extra names, or names that wouldn't normally show up, like Barrel Robot and Rail Spider Robot. They can be good replacements if you want to give someone else a longer name. I'll save that for another time. So let's get back to Dr. Peabody and change his name. We're going to call him Dr. Freeman. And now, for the last part, we're going to look up his gallery entry. Gallery entries are also in the files. They're also duplicated. Usually it's pretty simple to figure out which is which, though. So we're going to look up Peabody. We're going to do Control F, search all directions. So now we've found his gallery entry. Of course, this is entirely optional. Not everybody reads the gallery, but sometimes I like to change them because they can be fun with adding backstory and lore if you're like making a mod or something. So let's change this up a bit. Don't want to overthink it. It's just showing you how the gallery works and all that. So I'll just type this in. Okay, one thing you're going to run into is that you can't change the length of a gallery entry. You're just going to have to deal with it. So that means sometimes you have to rewrite sentences so things are short enough. I'm having trouble making this sentence fit within it. Alright, there we go. So now we have fully rewritten Dr. Peabody's gallery entry. Make sure to save this. So character IDs can also be modified. You'll find this a little further down on the document, character list. This will list the character ID for each person. This is separate from the character list, but it is very relevant because there are about 127 character listings in arcade mode, including Consultant, and only those can load. But if you replace one with an inaccessible character, it'll load in place of it. That's what we're about to do. So for this part, we're going to look up Sergio, since he never appears in story mode and won't crash the game or anything. And we're going to replace him with one of the Neo-Tokyo pedestrians. We're going to do female pedestrian number 6. So in this case, we're going to go over to the character list, look for Sergio, right there. The character ID is the very first thing it lists, so you don't need to look anything up in the hex calculator. Once you've got HXD back up, just plug in that offset into the go-to option. Alright, so this is Sergio's character ID. When you're in arcade mode, it'll load this character up. What we're going to do is go on to the list of characters in the document. We're going to find the ID for her. Okay. She is right here. She has an ID of 55, so we're going to replace 94 with 55. Alright, in HXD, we know where Sergio's ID is. Make it 55. We hit save. Now, in-game, this character's name, the female pedestrian 6, is going to be really, really long. So we're also going to modify her a bit, so she uses Sergio's name, and we're going to modify that too. So we're going to look up Sergio, and with Control F, it'll probably pull up some extra stuff when doing search all, because he's also got that challenge that mentions him. But we should be able to find his name by scrolling through the excerpt section. Just look for Sergio next to other characters' names. That should help you out with finding him. Alright, there we go, Sergio. Okay, so in this part we didn't change Dr. Peabody's name, so this might be the duplicate one I was talking about. Yeah, the offsets don't look right, so we gotta scroll up a bit. This looks like it's the duplicate section. In fact, I'm gonna simplify things. I'm gonna pull up an area where I know we changed it. I'm looking up Dr. Freeman. Now I'm gonna scroll down to Sergio. And since we're making a female character, let's give it a female name. Let's give it a Mariah. So now we've changed that. For this next part, we're going to assign her Sergio's name string. Okay, so name string is the very first thing listed on the characters tab. Hers is 00990000, and Sergio's is somewhere around here. His is D00D5, so on and so forth. So we're going to go up to her, pull up her ISO value, copy it, and put it into HXD. And in HXD, we're going to insert that offset into the go-to option. Once we get here, we're going to replace 99 with D5, and then save it. After that, that should be about everything, but there's one more thing I want to cover before we get to showing it off in-game. Briefly, everything with Textures 1 and Textures 2, but I wanted to go over it again, because you can do some odd things with it. You can replace it with other characters' textures. You can put the lower textures in place of the higher ones. There are also a couple that go sort of unused. Like, if you count them down, they mostly line up like there aren't any missing numbers, except for a couple. Like here, Jobeth goes 72, then 74. So the value of 73 there is actually interesting. It's a very low quality, non-textured version of JoBeth Casey's model. Texture E2 further down also is never used. It's a destroyed version of SentryBot from his death animation. You can enter these into the game and they'll work just fine, but I just thought I'd share that. It might not appear in the menu, but it'll definitely appear in arcade mode and probably in story mode and stuff like that. Alright, so let's test this out in game. Now that we've got TimeSplitters 2 loaded up, we're going to go ahead and clear out the bot set and see if our changes worked. We're only going to add 2 bots to this. We're going to add Sergio, who is listed as Mariah, so that's a good sign. And we're also going to add Dr. Peabody. So that means that seems like 2 of our changes should have gone through. If he's listed as Dr. Freeman, that'll be the case. Yep. Okay, so both work. Dr. Peabody now has 5 stars. Let's scroll down just to see for ourselves how the changes look. Oh. You can also change character gallery. You can change the portrait, the one that appears on the left, but that requires texture modding, and that's something for another time. So we could play as her, or if we scroll up we can see that Dr. Peabody is now 5 stars and very powerful. Let's just confirm that. Yep, Dr. Freeman. Very high stamina, very high accuracy, very low agility. Everything went through. I'm gonna play as Mariah because I feel like playing as the underdog here. That's pretty much all there is to it. Once we just hear it in game, we'll know for certain if the voice change went through for Dr. Peabody, which I'm sure it did. Alright, everything's looking good. That should do it. So that's pretty much a good overview of character modding. Let me know if you guys have any questions, or if you think I didn't cover anything, or if there's anything I might have missed. But hope you all got something out of this. Next time we're going to focus on adding unused content into the game immediately, or inaccessible stuff, like Siberia and Wild West multiplayer, or the Desert Eagle, and stuff like that. So, hey, thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of this. Hope you guys have a great day.